Okay, so I'm out here. This is part 2 of Water Kills the Globe, because again, you know, I'll reiterate some of this once I get back to the house. You know, I had to wait in some responses, some comment responses and some troll videos, just so that I can highlight and show the absurdity of these clowns who still actively deny how water behaves and how it is the #1 proof that you live in a contained system. You know, so we will look at the anomalous expansion of water. What I'm going to do is I'm going to gather some seawater here, and we're going to see the difference between the expansion of salt water and fresh water, if there is any, and we're also going to see if we can get any seawater to conform and cling to the exterior of objects, which we know is not going to happen. So what I'm going to show you right now, I'm going to get down to about 3 feet here, and we are 20 kilometres from the target point, and you will see that there is no 65 feet of missing curvature. You know, again, these clowns, this is the same distance, probably further than any of these other observations that they do, and you will see clearly that you can see the buildings. Okay, nothing obscured, nothing hidden. Right, I don't even have to do this. This is just a nonsense exercise, because I know that the liquid is no moulded and forming around a sphere or any other shape for that matter. Okay, so oh, what's that? What do we see there? That's right, we see no curvature. Let's go even further. At that distance we should be 65 feet of missing curvature, or we should have 65 feet. Where is it? So right now I'm about 1.5 feet off of the ground. As you can see by that rock how low I am. Adjusting my camera here so I can get a better view. Let's raise it up now. What happens in areas like this that some of these sofas do is when the tide comes in, you've got a huge swell of water. So we can see here, you know, you can see clearly how much the water level is going to go up. Now that's a fair amount. So, you know, let's just have a look this way. I don't see any curvature or obstruction happening here whatsoever. Let's go right down again. So, anyway, none of that's really important. The important fact is how liquid behaves, okay? So as I say, when the tide is coming in, you've got huge swells of water moving. And if I was to come here at that time when the water was moving in the swell, it would look as if things were being obscured, okay? Only because the water is in motion. Now I'm getting comments from people, oh, forces acting upon the water and blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm going to try every fucking force possible. Right? I'll try every force that I possibly can here in Earth. Right? No, these images and videos of idiots on the supposed ISS, right? Because we do not live in those conditions. There is no vacuum here, right? There is no contrived conditions like they show you in the ISS. This is where you live, out here in the actual world. So let's observe and test how things behave here. Right, so what I'll do when I get back up the road is I will try and recreate some of the ISS tears clinging to my face, and I'll try and wring out a cloth and we'll see what happens. Right, because that's what's important. We're talking about reality, where we actually live. There is nowhere in our experienced reality that is in touch with a vacuum. Nowhere. Between us and the top of the sky, there's compressed gaseous air. Right? Why does the pressure get thinner when you go further up? Well, it's the same as when you go into a body of water. The mass and the weight of the water, the lower down you go, the more pressure there is because of the mass and weight of what's above pushing down. Okay, so it's the same with the air. You know, at this point that we're at, we've got this massive gas and air weighing on us. So there is a pressure here. As you go up, it gets less pressure because there's less weight and mass on it. It's very, very simple, right? So, as I say, when we get up the road, we will check the seawater and see how it behaves, right? I'm going to collect some seawater from here and we'll see how it behaves, right? I might as well film this bit just so that, you know, people actually believe that I'm going to empty this out. Right. Try and not make a mess of myself while I'm doing it. So, look, here it goes. Oh, oh, what's happening here? What's happening? There's a potato-shaped rock right there. What's happening? That's right. Flowing off, seeking its level. Water doesn't seek its level. That's just the terminologies that we use. That's just what we say. It's seeking its level. Not like water has a personality and that's what it's seeking to do. It's just a state of water, liquid. That is its natural state, is to seek and maintain its own level. If it's not contained, it will flow continuously. Okay, until it is dammed up. and then it will seek its level again. The point of this is that water, the surface of water, doesn't have the ability to bend and display shapes upon its surface, right? Regardless of scale and size, right? It's not scientific for these morons to keep saying it has to be bigger, it has to be bigger. It doesn't have to be bigger. It's not about that. It's about the behaviour of liquid. Liquid is formless. The surface does not display shapes upon it. It is impossible. You cannot bend a body of water and see that bend upon the surface. Okay? It will keep collapsing and flying flat. Simple. Right? So let's see if we can get a wee better view now that this sun's coming out here. Because I'm noticing that when I'm zooming in, you can see the buildings with a bit of clarity, but there's a certain haze. So maybe I'm zooming in too fast. Let me see here. See the focus popping in and out, right? But there is certainly no 65 feet of missing curvature, I should say. It is somewhat missing as per usual, because the Earth's a level container, it is not a globe. So let's head up the road and try this out. Okay, so now I'm a few miles along the road from where I was. Still no curvature. Surprise, surprise. Right, that's enough of this nonsense about curvy globes and curvy water. Okay, I'm going to go up the road and I'm going to take the piss right out of these idiots yet again. Right, enough of this nonsense. Earth's a container, it's level, end of story. Enough of it. This camera height right now is about 5 feet. Okay, now that target distance is 12 miles away. Right, nothing missing. Absolutely zilch. Do you think I should ask them if they're interested in my Golfers app, which takes into account the absolutely nonsense Coriolis effect? You know, it's the understanding of such nonsense that allowed guys like Tiger Woods to be so successful at their golf, because they understood the Coriolis effect and put it into practice. If there is anybody out there who is gullible enough to buy my app, please get in touch immediately. Thank you. Hi. So here we are, back up the road. First thing I will get you today is watch these two wee videos.
Washcloths ever here on the space station. I'm going to show you. Here's one of our washcloths. And it's compacted. It's put down into this little tiny hockey puck so that it saves space. But when you open up a hockey puck and you pull out your washcloth, this is the one I'm going to use for the experiment today. And so when you open up your hockey puck and turn it into a washcloth, it was compressed in a great big vise somewhere. Okay, so here's my washcloth, like a magic trick. And now I'm going to get this soaking wet, and then we're going to see what will happen when we wring it out. Meriden and Kendra suggested that I dip this in a bag, but bags don't hold water in space, so instead I filled a water bag. This has drinking water in it. And I'm going to squirt a bunch of water into this washcloth. Okay, so here's a soaking wet washcloth. Get the microphone so you can hear me while I'm talking. And now let's start wringing it out. It's really wet. It's becoming a tube of water. The water's all over my hands. In fact, it wrings out of the cloth into my hands. And if I let go of the cloth carefully, the water sort of has it stick to my hand. Okay, so the experiment worked beautifully. And the answer to the question is the water squeezes out of the cloth, and then because of the surface tension of the water, it actually runs along the surface of the cloth and then up into my hand, almost like you had Jello on your hands or gel on your hand, and it'll just stay there. Wonderful moisturizer on my hands. And the cloth doesn't really unravel itself. It just stays there floating like a dog's chew toy, soaking wet. Great experiment, worked perfectly. Meredith and Kendra, congratulations, great idea. So here's a common question. Can you cry in space? Do tears work? Well, let's try it out. I can't cry on command, but I'm going to take some water, drinking water, put it in my eye just as if I was crying. Let's see what happens. Get myself nice and stable for you here. Here we go. So, just as if I've started crying, my eye is full of tears. But you can see it just forms a ball on my eye. In fact, I can put more water in. And so if you keep crying, you just end up with a bigger and bigger ball of water in your eye. Until eventually it crosses across your nose and gets into your other eye, or evaporates, or maybe spreads over your cheek, or you grab a towel and dry it up. So yes, I've gotten things in my eye. Your eyes will definitely cry in space, but the big difference is tears don't fall. So grab a hanky.
Right, now you've watched these two videos. Now, the thing about those two videos is, as I expressed earlier on while I was out in the open, those are not the conditions that we live in. We live here on Earth with pressure and air. Okay? Now if we try and recreate those two videos, what's going to happen? Oh, right, wait a minute just to see this. So, firstly, what did we have first of all? We had wringing out the cloth of water. Probably going to get done in for this, but here we go. Right. Cloth, water. Oh, what's happening? It's no sticking to me, it's falling off, right? Because that's what happens here on Earth, okay? So I better dab this up. Utter ridiculous crap. This is the sophism that I'm talking about. You know, they keep, offering these videos, and these videos are deliberate to try and portray an image in your mind that this is how physical reality works, and it's not how it works. How physical reality works is what we observe and test right here on Earth. Not in some fanciful contrived conditions. I don't know what conditions these characters are in and how they're managing to achieve what they are. I could play with some stuff to maybe see what's going on, right? So the next one, tears in the eye. Oops, it's fell off. Can't I get it to stick? Look people, I'm not trolling anybody, right? I'm ripping the pish out of this ridiculousness. Right? It's childish nonsense. Just because I do it in a sarcastic manner doesn't mean that I'm trolling. I'm ripping the piss out of this idiocy that people are claiming. This is how liquid behaves. We talk about the scale aspect again, right? It's got nothing to do with scale. The point of the matter is that, I have some sea liquid here, right? The surface of the liquid, right? If I bend that bottle like so, the surface remains level and flat from one point to the other point, regardless of if I extend this 100 miles in that direction. At what point exactly do you think that the surface of the liquid, at each step along the way, what magical aspect happens that allows it to bend, magically bend? It's utter nonsense, right? Doesn't matter how big it is. That's how liquid behaves. Level is established by understanding water. It is a property of liquid. That is what we use to establish level. Okay? That's what defines level. Right? So it doesn't matter how big the body of water, the crack that you're filling in with liquid, it will seek its level and the surface will be horizontal and flat. Right? So I'm going to rip the push a wee bit more here, and then I'm going to focus on some of the comments that came in on part one of this. So I want to be fair, so I'm going to try my best to achieve, you know, some sort of liquid stuck to the outside of a fucking globe. Right? So what we have here is what's known as wallpaper paste. Right? Let's try this. Let's see if I can get it to stick to my eye. Oh look, it's stuck. Ooh, let's get a ball. Look, yes, now we've got curvy water. I can spread that out and give it a bit of depth. See that? See the depth of the wallpaper paste there? Look, now we're getting it on the... Oh. What happens if we go for normal everyday water? Oopsie. So, I've been out today walking for miles, getting observations. The observations are, you know, not really relevant because optical, when we're looking over an expanse of water, there are so many things to be taken into account that you can't really, you know, break down precisely for every varying condition that is going on between you and the other point, right? That's why, you know, when we're talking about level and establishing level, the water is more accurate than any other man-made instrument or any instrument you could possibly come up with. The liquid tells you you know, everything you need to know. The earth is a contained system, right? So we don't need to mess about with videos and, ooh, you know, contradictory images and videos across expanses of water, because there's so many factors to be taken into consideration. The main one, especially with these people at the oceans, you know, the majority of the time it's like an estuary, you know, where, you know, coming inland between, you know, 2 points of landmass, and as the swell's coming in and it hits those 2 points of landmass, the water raises up and rushes forward. If you don't understand what I'm saying, have a look at a tsunami and look at how the water moves as it's coming inland, right? It raises up and it comes like a wall, right? That's what's happening, right? Plus, you're tiny again in comparison to the scale of the earth and the oceans, right? So a massive swell coming in, a massive expanse of water moving inward, you know, is going to obscure things to your vision because you're so small, right? But bodies of water, as I'm going to highlight over and over and again, do not conform to the exterior of shapes. They take the shape of their container, right? Earth is a container. You keep scaling up your examples from a bottle to a sink to a bath to a swimming pool to a lake, dam, ocean. The physics are the same, right? You will never get the surface of a body of water to bend, okay? No matter what I do with that bottle of water, that liquid will always do the same thing, right? So, here's a balloon that's filled with water, okay? Now, this is what they want you to believe. So, the oceans, right? Earth would have to be some sort of rubber membrane or some sort of membrane filled fully with water, with no air, because we have a wee bubble in the top there. I don't know if anybody can see that, right? That rises straight to the top, right? Now the surface in there is now curved, but it has a membrane keeping it there, right? That is the only way possible that we could live on a wobbly, testicle, pear-shaped, odd-shaped thing, right? I mean, I know that it's difficult for people to get, and it looks like I'm just trolling. I'm being sarcastic because it is painfully obvious. It's so difficult to accept that people have trouble, realising these things. And I'm going to highlight a couple of examples here in the comment section of the last video. I knew that if I made it short enough, in the way that I done it, I would get these types of comments so that I could then use them as fuel for this video. So let's have a read at the ridiculousness. Just bear with me a wee second here till I find it. And I'm going to do a part 3. I talked about the anomalous expansion of water and how water reacts under pressure. So we'll look at things like Archimedes' principle. We know that water is incompressible. We apply that in hydraulics, So I have a wee couple of bits of apparatus that I will use to show that. But for now, as I said, I'm just going to rip the piss out of this because, I can't accept that people are this dumb. They have to be actively trolling or they're working for a certain agenda, because you can't deny these things. And now, we'll read here some of the ridiculousness, right? Let's go. So we've got this chappie here, whoever this is, Rab S. My God, Del, do you realise how stupid this video makes you look? I am actually ashamed to share a heritage with you. I don't give a fuck about heritage or any of that fucking bollocks patriotic crap, alright? Battery's going to run out. No one expects water to cling to a fucking basketball. No one, your entire video is a straw man. No, it's not a straw man. I'm dealing with claims that are being made in regards to the world we live in, okay? And I'm showing practical examples of how it is impossible. Let's step outside the box for a moment and see if you're capable of a thought experiment. Assume a giant sphere with the magical ability to suck things down on its surface. We'll assume its magic and works on everything. Okay, can you accept that premise of our thought exercise? No, I'm not into imagination, right? Now this is exactly what these people start trying. Imagination, thought experiments. When we're talking about natural science, substance and reality, you need practicality. You have to demonstrate your claims practically. So I'm not even going to go any further with your nonsense, Rab S, okay? Where was this other one? I'm just going to make it short because I can see that the battery is just about to go on that. Just bear with me. You just need to bear with me here, people, till I find these comments. I'll just edit this wee bit. There was one particular comment here that I wanted to focus in on because it's astounding. Oh my goodness, where is it? This is it. Justin Lorenzana. Water does not seek anything, Del. Water responds to forces in nature as well as having its own forces. Inanimate matter is inertia and active with only reactive force. Life is inertia active, it applies directed force in nature. Walk around with a pan of water. Walk around with a pan of water. It reacts to forces. Right, now, Justin, you have just expressed walk around with a pan of water, a container, which is exactly my point. Okay, now while it's in that container, I can exert wind, whatever other motion I want to exert on it. But the fact of the matter remains, it has to be in a container in the first place in order for me to even go ahead with the experiment. Okay. Spin a water bottle, it reacts to force. Remove the force of gravity in a zero-G plane, and just like in the ISS, we don't live on a zero-G fucking plane, and we don't live on the ISS, we live here. Shoot the bottle, now what? It's still no bending. It's still maintaining its level. The surface is still horizontal. What's your point, caller? And surprise, it will crawl in the exterior of your hand. You need to experiment with forces in nature. Dale, come on, use your mind, you can do it. You show me where in nature we are flying about in a zero-G plane or on the ISS. I am here in nature. I was in nature yesterday and this morning, demonstrating practically how liquid behaves. Sophism, people. This is what I'm talking about religious institutions and how they try and twist your mind, right? This ISS bollocks, the zero plane bollocks, they're misrepresentations of actual reality. We do not live in those conditions. If you're making a claim about objective reality, you show it practically in nature. As I've expressed before, we live in a gaseous environment, no in a fucking aeroplane, no in some imaginary tin can floating about in a vacuum. Right? We will get onto this, the opposing pressure systems. I will do a part 3 of liquid and why water kills the globe. Then we will discuss opposing pressure systems and how they work in actual reality. Right? So that you can then see that these claims about the gaseous environment of Earth next to a vacuum without a solid barrier is preposterous. Again, contradicting actual reality. Right? Now, people, the only thing you have is images. This is what they're doing. This is a religious institution. This is how it operates. It is devious at its very core. Right? The goal is to make everything deceptive in order to get you to believe it, to hold you in a state of mind that they want you in. Right? So, you need to let go of the cartoon ball. Water, a property of water is level. Okay? Horizontal. That is where we get the definition from. If we want to establish level anywhere over a vast expanse, fill it with liquid. It'll tell you if it's level. Okay? It's very, very simple. So, I know that I've probably skirted over this yet again, but, you know, I can't, you know, if people out there want to tell me that it's going to happen at some other scale or that I should be in some sort of lab or whatever, if you're not happy with the setting that I'm in, it really doesn't matter. If you have a rebuttal, can you show it practically? And I do not accept zero-G planes or ISS cartoons. You don't live there. It has to be, you know, observable and testable by us all, and that means here on Earth, right? So, again, it doesn't matter if I make this bottle 100 miles long. Okay, the surface is horizontal. Look at it here. Look at it. How the water pushes up and the surface stays flat. That is the globe killer, right? It's a substance, an image, a video, you know, over an expanse of water in no way is a match for substance. Liquid, right, and its properties and its behaviours, they are well understood and applied in every single day reality. So I'm not going to engage with any of these people anymore. They can keep bringing their sophistry if they like. I'm not accepting it, and neither should you. You know, you need to share this information with people. You need to help them to realise how the brainwashing has warped their perception of reality, right? Point it out in practical form, and they cannot escape it. The only way that they can escape it is by entering into self-delusion, right? And these trolls who are involved in this are trying to perpetuate that delusion of people, and it's unacceptable, right? So, no more videos looking over vast bodies of water, right? The water is the tool. You don't need anything else. You don't need a 3 mile fucking spirit level test. Just find a body of water. If it's not flowing anywhere, you know that the place that the water is sitting in is level. Right? Peace, people.